So Adam from Adams Automotive, I'm going to show you what we're doing. And at the core, we have the point of sale service tracking tool. And this basically is similar to a fleet management system where you can click on any owner and see what vehicles are in their fleet. In this case, of course, these are family vehicles. And we can click on the different vehicles and we will have different service history. It tells us how much they drive, how many times it's been in, and what kind of service we've performed. So we go to the Honda. This one's 368 miles a day. This is a Canadian install. It's under kilometers. This happens to be the average kilometers per day in Canada. In the U.S., it's 32 miles per day. And we use that if we only have one service visit, then we use the national average. After a second visit, what we're doing is we are now able to look at, in this case, 29 visits. We're able to look at the information behind the scenes. And so this just shows you all of the detail items that are in your database. Now, the concept of what we're doing here has to do that the starting point for any successful marketing has to be with accurate information with regards to the vehicle maintenance. Credibility is king when it comes to preventive maintenance and also with marketing. And this picture or backsplash tells a really important story, which has to do with a life cycle of a customer visit. So the point of sale would be when they're in front of us. After they leave, the thank you is sent automatically. Then if there's any declined work, within 30 days, we remind the customer that there may be pending work, and we do it up to 3 times, meaning that if they don't respond to the first contact, we send a second and a third, and then we drop it. After 3 months, we contact the customer for the first time, and if they don't respond, we send a second, a third, and a fourth contact all the way out to a year. So we wait 3 months between contacts, and so this is also automated. If they respond to any of the communications we made, either for declined work or service reminders, when you schedule the appointment in your management system, Service Intelligence picks it up and sends out 2 contacts, one 5 days before the appointment and then the day of the appointment. And now they're back in front of you. So this is what we call the life cycle between service visits. The other 2 items that you see on the screen are targeted marketing promotions, which is right here. And this is an exclusive capability that Service Intelligence has that we're going to get into in a second. And it has to do with communicating to customers in a very targeted way so that we are very careful in not spamming our customers. Only the customers that need a particular service get alerted. And then finally, new customer acquisition, and that has to do with Service Intelligence ability to acquire customers within your marketplace that you may be interested in. Typical targeted or new customer acquisition campaigns can be, if you are interested in diesels or hybrids, we are able to find all of the drivers within 5 miles or 10 miles of your shop that own those vehicles. Another example could be a Saturn. If a Saturn dealership closed in your area, you may want to find who those vehicle owners are and let them know that you're there. So with that, let's jump into the core, which is what I'm showing you here with your customers. And it's as simple as clicking on a customer. It brings up the reports. In this case, 32 visits since 2001 shows that this customer is a good customer. However, I see that this customer hasn't been in for 18 months. So I'm going to add a filter. And I want to see only vehicles that I've seen, or customers that I've seen in the last 18 months, but I'm going to further filter. I want to see the vehicles that have been brought in the last 12 months. So this is going to narrow it down to my top 149 vehicles out of my database. You can close the tabs by right-clicking and closing tabs here. So let's go to Clifford. He has a vehicle that's been in only once, and I had to click on the exception to the rule. We're suppressing the other vehicles that haven't been in the family. So let me do this. I'm going to make this from one vehicle to one vehicle, and we won't have that. So there we go. So let me try that again. So Brian, for example, has been in 22 times. We saw him last 10 months ago. And these are the services that are needed based on the last time the service was performed. So we changed this windshield wiper 30 months ago. And so Service Intelligence is only reporting the facts. There is no data entry required. And it's basically taking all of your service records and summarizing them to a single sheet of paper that can be handed to the customer, because if you have 22 invoices, they may be multi-page invoices. You may have 30, 40 pages worth of information. What we're really interested in is the last time a particular service was performed. And in this case, Brian is 3,522 kilometers over his threshold. If we go to somebody else, let's click on Suzanne's vehicle here. She's, on the other hand, not driving very much. She drives only 9 miles per day. So notice that we're not tracking the mileage or the kilometers right now, but rather the time elapsed. So in her case, we have an interval of 5,000 kilometers or 120 days, and she's actually 4 months over on her oil change. As we click on vehicles, we open up the tabs and it shows us the different vehicles. Now, the objective of doing this for our customers is directly tied in with best practices as preached by all the industry pundits and gurus, which are the usual suspects are Management Success, the Elite Group, R.L. O'Connor through their top 20 groups, ATI, or Automotive Training Institute, among others. And they're basically all telling us the same thing, which is increase your car count or the number of visits per year, deepen your customer loyalty and create competitive advantage, increase your work order average and profitability, and you do this all by changing your business model. So over the next half hour or so, 45 minutes, what I'm going to do is tie back into each one of these objectives. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is how do you deepen customer loyalty and create a competitive advantage. And in doing this, I am going to do a little bit of role-playing and share with you how I would address the customer using Service Intelligence and having a flat screen monitor on my screen, on my desk, on my counter, and flipping it around so that the customer can see what I'm talking about. And so I would say, well, you see that vehicle on bay 2 over there? That is Suzanne's vehicle. She drives 9 miles per day. Now the vehicle right next to her, that's Brian. He drives 25 miles per day. So what you're looking at is where Suzanne is getting, or Susan is getting 30% or 33% of the maintenance that Brian needs. And this is what industry has done forever, adjusting services according to vehicle usage. So let's say Kathleen comes in. At a click of a button, I know that she's driving 29 miles a day, and she's really close. I'm going to switch to miles. Let's disregard the kilometers. And the idea is that Fleet management is the way that you can control cost of vehicle ownership. And my customers want to know that at Gebby's Automotive, we are now using the latest technology to assist our customer base, because we have a fleet of 2,519 vehicles. And our mission statement is to lower the cost of vehicle ownership and operation. We want to increase the safety of the vehicles, and we also want to maintain the highest resale value we can for our customer base. That is our mission statement and our promise to our customers. The starting point of all of this, I would say, Kathleen, is I know that you've been in 42 times to my shop. You're a really good customer. I see you're holding your iPhone there, or your Android or your Windows phone. Are you still at this gmail.com or whatever the case may be? And now speaking to you, the shop owner, I'm going to show you that this is real time. This is my email client. I have it in the background. I want to show you that when you click this, this actually sends the email to your customer real time. And there's an important function that we want to do here is whenever you ask the customer, would you like to have your service records, the answer is always yes. And now here you go. The customer would have on her palm of her hand all of the service records that I am looking at. I can also go one further and I say, look, I have the detailed report that is probably, I don't know, 6-7 pages long. Would you like to have a copy of that? It has all your warranty information. Again, the answer from Kathleen will probably be, sure, great, give it to me. So now I have done two things. I have provided the customer with all the service records, and I would back it up by saying we have an open book policy. These records are yours, and anytime you want them, just let us know. And also, if you're on a road trip or something like that, this is really valuable. So if you end up at a service dealer that you don't know, you will be able to have all the information at your fingertips. And this is a bigger report, so let's wait for the download, and here it is. So now I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to show you how the report is a faithful reproduction of what you're seeing on your screen. The value of providing this to the customer cannot be overemphasized in the bigger objective of getting Kathleen to understand that Gebby's Automotive provides a signature service, which is nothing less than fleet management. What we're doing is we're listing every time that we change the air filter, and we've got the odometer readings for each interval, every time that we change the fuel filter. And this is a way of providing accountability and also a reflection of the due care that we've got with the vehicle. And just as importantly, the system is projecting whether something is due or whether it's not due yet. And if it's not due, how many miles are left before this particular part needs to be changed. In our assessment of the battery, either 55,000 or 19 months, whichever comes first. So the process of providing information to my customer at the point of sale is very deliberate. And here I'm going to basically share some of the unique insights that are brought into and combined into something that may seem simple enough. You just print a report and you hand it to the customer. But when you couple that with a storyline, it's the essence of changing your business model from being passive to proactive, or from being a fix-it for a living to maintaining the vehicles for a living. And so what I'm referring to here is when Service Intelligence is installed, you look at the first 6 to 9 months as an opportunity to introduce your customers, because you're going to see 70% of your recurring customers in that period of time, to managed auto care. And what I'm going to do is elevate the service experience at the front counter so that now my competitors have to catch up with me. I'm going to set a new standard that Kathleen is going to immediately recognize as a superior customer service experience at the front counter. So part of what I would tell Kathleen is I say, you know that the vehicles of today, and your Subaru is a great example, is good for 300,000 miles or more if you so wish. And what I mean by this is the manufacturing has gotten so good, and you may have been reading it, you know, in the news media they're saying it, including Japanese cars have always been very good, but including U.S. Vehicle manufacturing is now surpassing the European quality. And these vehicles have better engineering, better chemistry and alloys and just the components. The fabrication is much better. The tolerances are much closer. What does all of that mean to you? That it doesn't fall apart like they used to. Now, the vehicle manufacturer doesn't want you to think that way, and they say, hey, you know, come in and get the car with LED lights. You know, it's like, who cares about the LED lights? But, you know, they're hoping you do. And the idea is that studies have proven, and the AAA is really good at this, and you can go to their website and read about this, a family that has 3 vehicles or more that keep their vehicles 10 years or more end up saving tens of thousands of dollars as compared to the family that falls for going to the dealership and buying a new vehicle prematurely. So here at Gebby's Automotive, we've listened to you all. You've asked us to implement a professional fleet management approach to lowering the cost of vehicle ownership and extending the useful life of our vehicles. So when we talk about our fleet of 2,500 vehicles, it's your cars, your family vehicles that we're talking about. And so, Adam, you know, what I'm doing is I'm basically telling you that the point of sale is the cornerstone of building a foundation through which all of your marketing will start having the traction that often doesn't happen. And we come to a lot of shops that are disenchanted with the customer retention or CRM, but actually the message is what's missing. So what you can do, and your customers will give you the opportunity, and you will see that what you do is you start with a point-of-sale system, and a customer at a time, you tell them the story. Now, storytelling is something fundamental about human nature, and we have incorporated the best studies in the subject that have to do with how humans have gathered around the fire to talk about where the next meal is going to come from, or whether or not the village down the mountain got burnt, and you know we better pack our bags and run for the mountains because there is a raid going on. I mean, people really pay attention to stories. So what you want to do is you want to tell Kathleen, let me tell you, you know, what's going on and why this is what our customers want. And these vehicles of today, and then blah, 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 you introduce them to the concept of longer-term vehicle ownership. Now, I'm going to change the filter a second here just to go back and show you what can happen with a family with 3 vehicles. So when there are more than 1 vehicle, and now here we go. Let's go to Philip, for example, and he has 1 vehicle that's driven 32 miles a day, and the other one is driven 24 miles a day. I can tell Philip, the same thing, let me tell you, your vehicles are good for really high mileages, and look what we're doing. We know your wife's Toyota Camry is driven 60% of what you're driving your Geo. And so we adjust within your own family, we adjust the services according to usage. So we help you manage your family budget. And what we're also doing is we're stretching the life of everything we perform. The system stops us and tells us, you don't need to replace your brake fluid for another 47,000 miles. Your customers want to know that you have a systematic, scientific approach to tracking preventive maintenance. Now, what I would do with Philip is I say, you know, some of our customers have outdated purchasing practices. And in some cases, they'll go to Jiffy Lube for an oil change, Midas for brakes, Goodyear for tires, and then they come to Gebby's when the car doesn't start. And so the problem with that, Philip, is that the service information gets fragmented over 4 service providers. Now nobody has a full picture and nobody knows what's going on with your vehicle maintenance. So a better way is find someone you trust that is using professional fleet management tools to track your services, and then you will have a full picture of what you need. And you'll see that, for example, today we're going to take care of your oil filter, and we'll do the wheel alignment, and also we'll do the air filter, fuel filter, and we'll also take care of the oil change. And at the end of the day, we click on the synchronize after you've paid for your services, and it will produce a before and after report, and you will see how now your blue area grows and your red area shrinks. And it's simple enough. And you will have plenty of notice with the dates on when you can expect to take care of these services into the future. So this is a way of managing your family's budget on these particular vehicles, and provide, provided a time and budget allows, we'll take care of them. We'll prioritize them for you. We'll do those things that are safety issues first, and others that are critical components. I see you need a timing belt service. We will take a look at that. The last time we did it for you was in May of 2006. So, and you're way past due on that, and this is a critical service. Has anybody else done that? And so forth. Another thing that happens with this is when Philip comes in with his Geo, you can also look at the wife's car and say, she's actually just gone over on her oil change. She's 753 miles over. How's Wednesday next week? So now you can schedule a service on a vehicle that's not in front of you. When your customers start seeing that you're aligning with their own objectives, where they have concerns about employment or financial considerations, and you help them by taking the lead and showing them how you can extend the useful life of their vehicles, you end up providing a signature service that is recognizable with your brand. And most importantly, it allows the customer to see that when you're having a list of 9 items they don't need, and you do that with authority, now they can start looking at the items that they do need with a similar trust. So by showing the customer what they don't need, you end up getting buy-in from what they do need. Now, customer by customer, let's say, I'm going through my week, and now, Gene comes in, and I do the same thing, and I say, hey, look, you're driving 15 miles on your F-150. Oh, on your Jeep Wrangler. Let's look at this. Okay. Both vehicles are driven more or less the same. They've got different service histories. And so you want to print a report for every vehicle in the family and present them to the customers. And again, what you want to do is, as you move through your customer base, you want to offer to give them an email version of the report. We highly recommend printing these reports in color and having them so that they walk out with a tangible report. Service intelligence is designed to provide a systematic approach to communicating the fact that the vehicles are worth holding on, and also communicating that they don't need to have more than one service provider to provide them with the depth of service that is required in order to meet their objectives. And above all, the family's objective is, if I can save tens of thousands of dollars, I'm interested. I want to know how that's done. The other thing is, when we provide authoritative reports which are computer generated, customers are more open to a computer telling them what their vehicles need, and they are more apt to embracing the report than they are if we provide them with a human-generated report that says, look, my ASE certified tech does a 28-point inspection, and these are the things you need. Now you've got a customer on the other side of the counter that crosses the arms, kind of tilts back, and you can just see the whole defensive posture, which is saying, sure, I do. It's like, it's kind of like saying, buy these services from me. I need to cover my expenses this month. It's an adversarial situation, which is a bit of a trap. So introducing a computerized system that is unbiased, that actually ages the services in the service history, and then shows the customer that we know intimately how much their vehicles are driven. Just for example, in Ian's case, let's say the Neon is driven 15 miles a day and the Mercury is driven 12 miles a day. And he would be very pleased to know and say, yeah, that's about right. I drive 5-6 miles each way to work. And my wife, she drives a little bit further, but not much more. And so now he's wondering, well, I know how much my wife drives and how much I drive. How do these guys know? And so this is a really good way of getting buy-in through accuracy. Any questions so far?
No, it's all really good stuff. Thank you, George.
So the other business objectives I have is, and one which is I have just addressed, is how do I deepen the customer loyalty? Well, now I have Ian walking out of my shop, feeling pretty good about himself. He's been coming to me for several years, and he has 2 reports on hand, and he goes to work. And now he's having a sandwich at work, and a coworker says, hey, Ian, what's that? He says, oh, check out my mechanic. He's awesome. Look at this. They track everything we do. They know how much we drive. They age every part independently. And now, of course, this is extremely valuable. We get word of mouth. And what we're doing is we're turning our front counter into the most powerful marketing engine we've got. Every customer walks out of there with our brand and the facts on their vehicle. And not only do we print it for the vehicle that they brought in, they also have a printout for the other vehicle in the family. So it gives us an opportunity to tell the customer, what we're doing here is the system is looking at the type of oil you use and when you're going to reach your next oil change interval. So with your permission, I know you don't know what you're going to be doing Tuesday, September the 25th, but you have the system automatically schedules you and then is going to send you a service reminder alert, and if you want to change it, just click on a button that says reschedule. It's easy to reschedule, so no worries. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule you with your permission, and I go to the schedule icon. It pre-populates, and then you have additional comments that you want to enter, and at the same time you can print your loop sticker optionally for either a Dyno or a Zebra printer, and these are handy for customers, and they're low-tech, but they're efficient and effective. So it's a good policy to now tie in. You're going to send them an email, and they have a little loop sticker that will help them set the next, remember about the next appointment. The process of setting the next appointment is huge. Now let me give you an analogy on a separate industry. The dentist industry went through a major upheaval in the 70s and early 80s, where the generator of business was cavities. When you get a cavity, you get an awful toothache, and that makes you go to the dentist, yes or yes. You know, there's just no way around it. Now, I don't know about you guys, because with my kids it's totally different. Now my kids don't have cavities, and what happened is the dentist started using fluoride. In the dental industry, put fluoride on the dental paste. The municipality started putting fluoride in the municipal water supplies, and so in a matter of 5 years or so, the dental industry had to reinvent itself. It was no longer fixing teeth for a living. Now they moved to the model which is maintaining teeth, and now everything is about prevention, straightening them, whitening them, cleaning them, and so that is when you are finished with your dental visit, you can't leave the dental office without your next appointment, and all of us have learned accustomed to doing that, and that's the way it works. And then the dentist sends you an email saying, yeah, it's time to come in, and the cycle starts over. So this is where the service, the paradigm shift, as it's called, is when the business rules change from a catalyst and a change in your marketplace. With automotive, it's quality. Quality killed the old model of fixing cars for a living. So service intelligence provides with a holistic or natural way of engaging the customer on how to meet their own objectives of extending the vehicle life, the useful life of their vehicle, lowering the cost of operations, saving fuel, increasing the safety of the vehicle, and maintaining the resale value as high as possible. When we meet the customer's objectives, we're able to get the customer to start changing their purchasing patterns, which is 1.5 visits per year in the U.S. That's once every 9 months. By setting the next appointment, I can double my car count with my own customers. Now here's what happens. Half of the customers are going to tell me, George, I don't care what you're doing with your maintenance, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to drive my car into the ground before you see me next. That's okay. I'm more interested in the other 50%. When Ian says, this is cool, I love what you're doing, I get it, this makes a lot of sense. And sure, go ahead and schedule me for September 25th. By doubling the number of visits on half of my customers, I boost my car count 50%. And this is, if I'm doing 200 cars per month, and half of my customers start coming to me twice as often, I'm going to add 100 cars per month to my car count. So now what I've done is I've met objective number 2. My first objective was to deepen customer loyalty and create competitive advantage. My objective number 2 is to increase my car count. So now Service Intelligence is providing me with the building blocks to achieve both of those. Now my customer leaves my shop shaking his head thinking, wow, these guys are cool, you know, and so now the word of mouth is going on at the office. You know, I got a referral, and I'd say that Ian goes down to Mickey's Automotive, you know, and he says, hey, Mickey, I got a question for you. I say, yeah, what's up, Ian? How many miles does my wife drive per day? Mickey's not going to know. How many miles has it been since my last tire rotation? And so now Mickey has to say, well, hold on, you know, I got to check out your service history. And so he starts looking through the invoices, and he says, you know, give me a minute. And let's say he comes up with it. He says, oh, you know, I did it about 9 months ago. And then you ask him another question. Well, how about my wheel alignment and my wheel balancing? I say, I don't have time for this. I'm sorry, you know, Ian. It's just not going to feel the same. You don't have a service intelligence report? No, I don't. What is it? So now the customer is recognizing it just doesn't feel like it felt at Gebby's. And I've been dealing with this in a gender issue, but actually 60% of all maintenance is purchased by females. And female drivers have special needs, and one of them is they hate going to the mechanic. They don't like it. It's smelly. You know, they get glances. You know, the techs are looking at her legs and, you know, at her, you know, decolletage, and it's like they just don't want to go there. And so it's really important to address the fact that female drivers have special needs. And one of them, above all, is to treat them with respect, with full and complete disclosure, and treating them in a gender-neutral way where they've got all of the facts. And when they see all of the things that are being excluded from the purchase list because they are not needed, and then the other things are aged according to what needs to be done. And so things like an oil change and tire pressure, okay, we can take care of that, and we can tell them alignment is a matter of driving. If the car drives straight, you don't need to do it, don't worry about it. But because it can mess up your tires, it's really important, so we're going to do that for you. And also we'll see if there's any wobble on your steering wheel. That's balancing. And so this is where now it's a much more relaxed service experience. So now that we covered those three, car count, loyalty, and loyalty comes in two ways. I might as well highlight that. One is to refresh the loyalty we enjoy by showing the customer that we really have cutting-edge systems in place to meet the customer's own objectives. But also what we're doing is we're suggesting that if you go around town and you go to multiple service providers, you actually create a blind spot for everybody concerned. It's just better if you use Gebbys, you know, for all your preventive maintenance. And if we have to share you with our competitors, you can take your broken vehicle to them, because if I do my job right and you follow my lead, I'll keep you from breaking down for months and months and months. As a matter of fact, we're going to probably catch it before you ever break down. So now I have achieved deepening customer loyalty by resetting it, and also by perhaps getting a bigger piece of the service pie, and I have also created competitive advantage. Now let's talk about how do you increase your work order average and profitability. The idea is that preventive maintenance does not need to be sold. When shops start providing the customers with all their service records, customers will look at performing maintenance when budget and times allow. And what I like to do in that regard is just use the words of Gebby. Gebby is actually a real shop, and he has given us permission to use his information. And so if you click on the support, it takes you to our knowledge base, and you go to our testimonials. And the way Tom puts it is very eloquent. And he basically says that he's been using Service Intelligence for, well, this is 6 years now, and he's generated $150,000 in additional gross sales by presenting the Service Intelligence report. Now, I want to direct your attention here. This was written in 2009. So this was only 3 years after. So now he's been putting $150,000, and I clicked on the link because I want to show you the full article. And basically what he's saying is he was looking for an inspection tool that would more accurately recommend the manufacturer's scheduled maintenance, because many times those services are completed at different times and mileages than the intervals that are called by the manufacturer. Service Intelligence created a more realistic inspection reminder time frame, since many customers don't have the entire schedule of services completed during a single visit. So this is a typical shop, a 3-bay shop. And when he talks about adding $150,000 per year in gross sales, we're talking about a shop which is 200 to 220 cars per month, 3 bays in the same location. He didn't add another 3 bays in order to get this additional revenue. He didn't move across town to the better side of town, and he didn't buy another shop and database or anything like that. So what happens in businesses is sometimes we hit a glass ceiling where our growth stagnates and we hover around the same dollar amounts for an extended period of time. And so what we're doing with service intelligence is unlocking the potential that you currently have. And so what I'm going to do here is share a chart that, and I want to direct your attention to the January 1st through the 21st. We have a pre-service intelligence baseline that we create. And so, for example, for air conditioning services, we had 35 services performed in that period of time without service intelligence. Now he's doing 173. And if you go down the line, air filters, 81, now he sells 114. Batteries, he used to sell 51, now he sells 180 batteries. So, and the windshield wipers, he used to sell 116 windshield wipers, now he's selling 470 windshield wipers. How can that be? And the difference is, Tom used to inspect the vehicles, and those inspections were being perceived by the customers as self-serving. By implementing service intelligence, where it tracks the work that was previously done, and it blindly ages it based on vehicle usage, adjusted according to each customer's usage of that particular vehicle, and in a family you may have high mileage vehicles and low mileage vehicles. Customers lower their guard and they start buying, and they buy with a vengeance, if you will, much more than we would be comfortable selling. So he went from selling 2,100 services in a 12-month period, or January 1st through December 21st, to selling 5,652 services. Now, I want to direct your attention here to where it says gross profit. Gross profit is after paying for the part that you just bought for that service and after paying the technician to install it or do the service. And we have 75,326. Well, gross profit is approximately at 50% gross profit. So when you see that he's saying 150,000 in gross sales, you're looking at the same numbers that I was just showing you. So this shop unlocked 150,000 per year for the last 6 years. So you do the math, you know, you've got 600,000 that this business unlocked by consistently presenting the service reports to the customers, and this is the maximum in sales. Sell every service to every customer, every visit. So here with service intelligence, what we're saying is even maybe refine it a little further. Inform every customer of every service, every visit. And not only with the vehicle that they brought in, but with the other vehicle in the family also. And the storyline where we take the customer and we explain to them what their objective should be if they didn't have this already in mind is a critical component in doing two things. One of is in introducing the customer to fleet management and how if you have a company with delivery trucks, what are you going to do? Wait for the driver to say, hey, boss, my brakes are squeaking? You wouldn't. And the customer is going to be bobbing his head up and down in agreement. Says, no, or in this case, maybe shaking his head. No, you wouldn't. Says, because now you're too late. Now you need rotors in addition to the pads. A better way is track the vehicles, see what services are needed as they age, and then replace them. You know, if an air filter needs to be replaced every 24 months, it's all right if you take a couple extra months, but 26, 27, 28 months, dump it. Put in a new air filter. With the price of fuel, You definitely need it. If you put a little bit more air in the tires, guess what? Now you got more mileage. Let's rotate them. Why? Because I see the last time you rotated your tires, was, in November 2011 when you had 101,000 miles. So now you got 109,000 miles. Let's rotate your tires, and the customer now sees the logic within this process that's going to give him a longer use of a tire set with these simple steps. And so now what we've also done is increased our work order averages by empowering the customer with the information they need to buy without fear. And the thoroughness of a computer where they're not embarrassed like maybe we are and saying, oh my God, you need 6 things. That's too many things to flag. It's like, forget it. Step out of the way and let the customer do the buying. And this brings me to a very important aspect of service intelligence, which is a unique feature. We track what you don't sell. Now, the omissions are really important. So, for example, if I've seen this vehicle 32 visits since 2001, I've never done a transmission fluid change. Well, heck, maybe I should check it today. Let's do a battery load test. And so we can start picking 1 or 2 items that are in the gray, and we're basically telling the customer, hey, these may require attention. We don't know. Well, we haven't serviced it in these many months and miles. And so this is a way of looking at patterns within our own system. Let's go and look at Gerald's car here. This is a good example how we take no history and we keep it under do next, and we're saying, well, maybe you had this done before, but because we've only seen you for 16,000 miles, and these are 60,000, well, these are kilometer intervals, maybe you don't need these things yet. So we're soft-pedaling the no history until we go past a threshold where now we do know, because now this car we've seen for 66,000 miles, so now, or kilometers, and so therefore these things need to be shown. But this ties in the 4 major concepts of being taught by all of the gurus in the industry, and it's how do you take your business to the next level? How do you raise your gaze, look at the horizon, look at the business horizon 2-3 years down the line, and how do you fulfill your own prophecy, which is you want to have the best shop with a signature service that your customers will unlock the pent-up potential in your marketplace. And this is a process through which you come to the realization, and this will be one of the first things that we're going to do with you when you start with service intelligence, and that is to stop thinking that you're going to grow your business from your side of the counter. The ratio on shops is 1 to 1,000, meaning if you've got 5 people in your staff, you probably have 5,000 customers. So when we make the customers the agent for change, they will blow past anything that you could try to achieve with your own staff. If anything, step out of the way, become a true educator. And with Service Intelligence, we've got a Service Writers Academy. We include 52 sessions per year where you can be part of our training, and we go through this and we explain to you how to be a storyteller and how to engage your customer in the plan, the signature and the mission statement that we have here at Gebby's Automotive, which is to lower the cost of vehicle ownership, extend the useful life of your vehicles, increase the safety of the vehicles, and retain the highest resale value of the fleet. And we challenge any one of our esteemed competitors to beat us in that regard, because our customers rock, and they got the picture. And as you saw with Gebby's, they went to task and they're maintaining their vehicles. They're the best maintained vehicles in town. So that will conclude the presentation for the point of sale. And what I'll do now is I'll stop the recording and we'll do a separate recording for the